Well, good morning and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about something really unusual, and that is a medlar tree. One of the things I love about gardening is the ability to try and grow not just everyday fruits and vegetables, but also things that are a little bit different. I think there's nothing more exciting than trying to grow things that you won't see in the supermarket, or you don't really know anyone who's actually got a particular tree. And this is really how I came to buy the medlar, the quince, the pomegranate, the persimmon, all these sorts of unusual fruiting trees. And I'm going to do quite a few videos coming up now, so if you're interested in anything a bit unusual, then keep watching. So this medlar I thought I would do today because it's actually in flower, and they flower quite late. So if I show you the flowers close up, they're pretty much pure white. They're pretty. I mean, they're not as pretty as quince flowers by any means, but they are very nice to look at, and they are quite copious on this tree. There's quite a lot of them, and it's actually on dwarf rootstock, this tree, because my garden is so crammed with trees that I've had to resort to putting some of them on dwarf rootstocks, otherwise I'll be fighting my way out of the house. So this is a very small tree, but it's in its second or third year now, so it's actually doing quite well. You want to put them somewhere really sunny if you can. They will tolerate light shade, but being in the sun is what they really like, in some nice well-drained soil. And this one is doing really well. It's got some lovely fresh green leaves growing on it, and in the autumn time they turn a lovely russet colour, so it's quite beautiful to look at all through the seasons actually, obviously apart from winter when it does lose its leaves. But here it is flowering. It's flowering early June. Last year this flowered 3 or 4 weeks earlier, but we've had some really bad weather. So it's flowering and it's looking very nice. Some of the flowers have actually now gone over, if I'll just show you those there. But overall it's doing very well. So if you're not really familiar with medlars, they're a very old variety of fruits. Medieval times they used to be extremely popular. But I think since Victorian times they've fallen out of favour a little bit, and you don't really see them in shops at all. One of the things about them is that they are ready around October time. So in many ways very similar to the pomegranate, in that they flower a lot later than perhaps apples and quinces do. But unlike the pomegranate, which is a little bit more difficult to get to fruit in the UK out of doors because of this late flowering, with these it's actually much easier to get a crop. What tends to happen is they're quite small, and they are pretty reliable croppers. So what tends to happen is around October time you want to pick them and bring them indoors, and they have a very special way of treating them, which is called bletting them, which basically means picking them off the tree before the frosts and putting them into the house and leaving them for 2 to 3 weeks to soften up. They won't soften up on the tree. You have to bring them in the house, and when you do that, then you can eat them. So it's a little bit unusual and a little bit of a challenge, and I'm really looking forward to doing this, because last year I did have quite a crop on here. But unfortunately, we then went away for 2 weeks and didn't water the tree, and sadly we did lose quite a lot of them. So this year I'm hoping that we'll be able to give it a lot more attention, because obviously you don't want it to dry out. But they are something really unusual. I know quite a lot of people who have read on the internet that they've said, you know, they cook them in certain ways in the oven and things like that, or you can eat them with a spoon. So it's going to be really interesting to look up some recipes and see how they do. But I can certainly recommend them as something a little bit different. And certainly, you know, I'm enjoying the flowers. They're nothing They're not anything, you know, wonderful. I wouldn't say, oh, just get them for the flowers. They're pretty ordinary flowers, but there are a lot of them, and the bees love them. We've had lots of bees on them already, and it's just something a little bit different. And I highly recommend trying to grow a few things in the garden that are not just common things, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Obviously, you can save a lot of money growing crops and things, but it's just nice to come out and see something different and something a bit of an unusual challenge, which is really what my gardening channel is all about. It's about saving yourself a lot of money on the everyday fruits and vegetables, but also, you know, really enjoying something a little bit different. So this is the Medlar, and I shall do some updates through the year as this starts to fruit.